Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 18, text number 30. Sadhu Brahma Risheram se Gata Sumurgam Rusa Gata Sumurgam Rusa Vinirgachandanuskotya Nidhaya Puramagataha Sadhu Brahma Risheram se Gata Sumurgam Rusa Vinirgachandanuskotya Nidhaya Puramagataha Sadhu Brahma Risheram se Gata Sumurgam Rusa Vinirgachandanuskotya Nidhaya Puramagataha
Sadhu Brahma Risheram se
Sadhu Brahma Risheram se
Sumurgam Rusa
Sumurgam Rusa
Chandanuskotya
Vinirgachandanuskotya
Nidhaya Puramagataha
Nidhaya Puramagataha
Sadhu Brahma Risheram se
Sadhu Brahma Risheram se
Gata Sumurgam Rusa
Gata Sumurgam Rusa
Vinirgachandanuskotya
Vinirgachandanuskotya
Nidhaya Puramagataha
Nidhaya Puramagataha
Sadhu Brahma Risheram se
Sadhu Brahma Risheram se
Gata Sumurgam Rusa
Gata Sumurgam Rusa
Chandanuskotya
Nidhaya Nidhaya Puramagataha. Anyone else would like to chant? Ganesham Prabhu, would you like to chant?
Sadhu Brahma Risheram se
Sadhu Brahma Risheram se
Sumurgam Rusha
Gata Sumurgam Rusa
Chandanuskotya
Vinirgachandanuskotya
Nidhaya Puramagataha
Nidhaya Puramagataha. Ishwar Prabhu, would you like to chant? Yeah. Matajis, anyone would like to chant?
Sadhu Brahma Risheram se
Sadhu Brahma Risheram se Gata Sumurgam Rusha Vinirgachandanuskotya Nidhaya Puramagataha. Word for word. Saha, the king. To, however. Brahma Rishi, of the Brahmana sage. Amse, on the shoulder. Gatamasum, lifeless. Uragam, snake. Rusha, in anger. Vinirgachan, while leaving. Dhanukotya, with the front of the bow. Nidhaya, by placing it. Puram, palace. Agataha, returned. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. While leaving, the king, being so insulted, picked up a lifeless snake with his bow and angrily placed it on the shoulder of the sage. Then he returned to his palace. Purport. The king thus treated this sage tit for tat, although he was never accustomed to such silly actions. By the will of the Lord, the king, while going away, found dead snake in front of him, and he thought that the sage who had coldly received him, thus might be coldly rewarded by being offered a garland of his dead snake. In the ordinary course of dealings, this was not very unnatural. But in the case of Maharaj Parikshit's dealings with the Brahmana sage, this was certainly unprecedented. It so happened by the will of the Lord. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for coming for the Saturday morning Bhagavatam class. How's everyone feeling today? Excited? It's the weekend time for party. Today is a very auspicious day because we are having Vyasa Puja for His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, very great, sincere devotee of the Lord. So it's a very beautiful, it's actually a very interesting text, this one, Like, you don't imagine personalities like Maharaj Parikshit, to pick up a dead snake and put it on the top of Brahmana. I mean, you would expect something like that from me, but not Maharaj Parikshit, because he's a very exalted and a very great personality, So, I mean, I was just trying to think, like today's time, if someone does something wrong, and the other person is feeling so much envy and so much hate that they will go a path that no one can imagine, just because of envy. So, and because of disrespect, like I was speaking to my brother a few days ago, I was talking how he was actually telling me stories like how this guy at his college, at his university, did something to, humiliate him in public, and he made his life and soul to give him back, give him back to him, like I will do anything in my power. He forgot about the studies, he forgot about the goal, everything was just lost. And now all he was meditating upon is how to get back to this person. Has anyone ever been in that situation before, or is it just me? Yeah. It is a very common situation in Kali Yuga. It can happen anytime because our minds are always wanting to be superior than another person. And envy is not just that I am better than you. Envy means that I want you to go down. I want you to suffocate. I want to take revenge on you as much as possible. So this is what Maharaj Parikshit is trying to, he got angry, he got insulted by this cold-hearted, this Brahmana who did not receive him properly. But, I mean, Prabhupada says that a standard Vaishnava like Maharaj Parikshit, who's a pure devotee of the Lord, in a general state would not be affected by such a thing. He will move on. He'll go to another house, knock the door, But a person who's been very thirsty and hungry can sometimes do things that we cannot imagine, I was hearing Radhanath Maharaj, he was saying that sometimes hunger can bring the worst in people, Has anyone ever been hungry before, or is it just me? Yeah. So we all know that sometimes when we are hungry or we are thirsty, the normal regimes in our head, the normal common behavior is not very common anymore. So we do things that are against our nature or do things that are against our dharma to go down that road. So we can imagine, Prabhupada is mentioning the point that Maharaj Parikshit, you cannot expect a behavior like that from Maharaj Parikshit. It was unprecedented, So how do we conceive that? How do we conceive a pure devotee of the Lord doing such an activity? Like, Brahmana did what he had to do. Even a Brahmana should not do, A Brahmana's duty is to receive a guest. That's the Vaishnava etiquette, In the Vaishnava etiquette book of our ISKCON movement, it says that a person should receive his guest with very good behavior, Offer 3 good things. Do we remember those 3 good things one should offer? place to sit, yes. Water and sweet words. 3 things one should offer. But a Brahmana did not do that because he's in meditation, he did not know. Someone's here at the door. Or first he knocked the door, right? Maharaj Parikshit knocked the door. Of course, that's Vaishnava etiquette, So a Brahmana should have realized that. He's Maharaj Parikshit, he's the king, And kings should be treated with even more respect. Just not like an ordinary man should be treated with these 3 things. What about the king, King is like the controller of the whole area. He should be treated even more respect. But one can imagine that, a king not being treated with that much respect. For a Kshatriya, it's very humiliating, Something that you want and you don't get. That's a Kshatriya nature. You do whatever you can to get it back. So Maharaj Parikshit was not very pleased with this behavior. So he was walking out during the time of departure. He saw this dead snake lying on the place, and he just picked up the dead snake and put it around his neck as a garland. That's a funny behavior, I was thinking, well, maybe I could have done something like that if I would have seen a dead snake, or maybe not. Who knows? This is such a big thing to do, But we see that Maharaj Parikshit has done it. So Prabhupada is making a point, very, very important point, that something like that, it can only be happened by the will of the Lord, Otherwise, it is not very conceivable. Because we understand that everything in this world is happening by the supreme will of the Lord, Nothing moves, nothing works. Even a blade of grass doesn't move unless it's by the supreme will of the Lord. So that's what we are trying to get. This is the take-home message in every purport. Even Maharaj Parikshit Maharaj's birth was by the supreme will of the Lord, Like he was attacked by Brahmastra, Has anyone ever been attacked before? Not by Brahmastra, but has anyone just been attacked? It's a very dangerous situation. So just imagine he's being attacked by a Brahmastra, And Brahmastra is greater, or more deadlier than a nuclear weapon, So, but what happens? He's right in the womb of his mother, and Brahmastra is coming to him, And the mother is like, whoa, there's a Brahmastra coming, What should we do? There's nothing you can do when there's a Brahmastra coming in front of you. All you can do is pray to the Supreme Lord for protection. By bhakti, as Prabhu called it. So we should remember that the Brahmastra was coming to destroy the last male child in the family of the Pandavas, the Kurus. So we should remember that. And what happened? What happened to the Brahmastra? It was coming to destroy, and then it, boom, disappeared. It just vanished. Didn't have its potency anymore. How can one conceive that? And it's just only because of the supreme will of the Lord. Maharaj Parikshit had seen Supreme Lord inside the belly of his mom. And he was sheltered. He was protected by the Supreme Lord because he is a pure devotee. And his goal is to come and make this world a better place. So this is a very common situation. The whole Bhagavatam, actually, if we think about it, is meant for such a reason. The whole Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita shows us the supreme will of the Lord, Even the battle of Kurukshetra was the supreme will of the Lord, Otherwise, why would brothers go on fighting with each other in such a good times? Now we can imagine. And every brother is fighting from one another. Like my brother always fighting with me, since very young age. So my dad's brother also fighting with him since very young age. And his dad's brother is also fighting with him. So this is like a whole parampara of the Kali Yuga society. One can understand the quarrel is always there, There's always people fighting in relation, in families. There's always battles going on because of money, because of greed, because of property. Very common. But in this special times where Krishna was there, why would it happen? Only because of the supreme will of the Lord. Because Krishna is trying to demonstrate a message, give us a message that we can learn and take home from this beautiful pastime of Bhagavad Gita, Otherwise, how would Bhagavad Gita have been spoken, So there is everything we do, everything happens to us is because of the supreme will of the Lord. We should never consider, we should never question, or we should never, try to blaspheme Krishna, that why did you do this to me? Why did you put me in this situation? I was trying to do a good thing, It happened to me, very good realization. Happened to me after 6-7 months of practicing. I was going through some severe health challenges. And I just looked, I'm just trying to chant and, become a servant of the servant and trying to do a good thing. But why is Krishna putting me in a situation like that, It's just, I don't know, why are you doing this to me, Krishna? And then, my Guru Maharaj says that nothing happens other than the will of the Lord. There's a home take message. What is the message to learn in this situation? The learning message is that we should be surrendered to Krishna. Because Krishna will give you suffering only as much as you deserve and only as much as you can handle. Krishna will never give you anything more or anything less that you cannot handle. So we should remember that. Everything Krishna does is for a particular reason, so that we can come closer to Krishna and take shelter of Krishna. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Ki Jai. So this is a very beautiful point that we should remember, that Krishna always gives protection to his devotees, no matter what, at any case. He says it in Bhagavad Gita. What was the verse in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says that? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. To protect the devotees and to annihilate the miscreants and to establish the principles of religion. He himself appeared, birth millennium after millennium. So this is the home take message, We should pray for Krishna for protection at any cost, Whatever happens. Queen Kunti would pray Krishna for miseries. Has anyone ever prayed for miseries here? No, because it's very difficult. You should not do that, You should not pray for miseries, because if it comes, we can't handle it sometimes, It becomes very difficult. But a person like Queen Kunti, who's a pure devotee of the Lord, can pray for miseries, because it helps her remember Krishna more. What to speak of us, Even miseries, when the misery come, a devotee should not blame the Supreme Lord. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Ki Jai. One should not blame the Supreme Lord. Instead, what a devotee should do is try to take shelter and protection of the Supreme Lord. Anywhere you see in Bhagavatam, you just pick up any chapter or any verse, this point will always be there. Everything happens as per the supreme will of the Lord. Nothing. You take Dhruva Maharaj's pastime, what happened over there? It was the supreme will of the Lord. Why would a mother at that time, even the mother were not full of hate and envy, they were very kind-hearted, loving and caring, So, but he was sent to the forest. The situation happened that he had to go to the forest and meditate on the Supreme Lord. That is an asset. That is an advantage, That is not a bad thing, Narada Muni instructed him to go meditate on the Supreme Lord. This is such a beautiful thing. But again, the point is, one should not meditate on material benedictions, because, that's not the whole point of bhakti. That is one-sided relationship. That's not a two-way relationship. There is desires. When there is desires in a relationship, that is not love. When you try to do something for another person out of advantage or out of that I will benefit something from this, that is not pure love. A pure love happens when there is nothing personal desire, no personal gain. Anya bilashita shunyam. No, anything else, zero. Personal desires and benedictions are zero. Only devotional service towards the other person. And Krishna states that he cannot be understood by any areas, anything in the world, but other than devotional service. So we should use this opportunity to engage in the service of Krishna as our capacity. Because we should remember that the health problems, the family problems, and many other problems will always be there. Because this is a material world. And it's designed in such a way that there will always be suffering at every step. But one should not just take the suffering and forget the whole goal of life. The suffering is there. one should use it to the advantage, one should use it as per the benefits of a person, and should do as much as possible to still be surrendered and serve Krishna, right? Sometimes I feel like when I'm attending Bhagavatam class, even a 40-minute Bhagavatam class can become very difficult, Sometimes it seems like a lifetime sitting in a 40-minute Bhagavatam class. But one should remember that hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord is also devotional service, And this is one of the most easiest service you can do. All you have to do is sit and listen, But sometimes even doing that simple process can become very challenging, Has anyone ever tried to put a tilak and it took them over 20 minutes to put a right tilak properly? Has it happened to anyone, or is it just me? Yeah. Sometimes as simple as putting a tilak can take, a lot of anxiety. Just putting a right tilak sometimes can give you so much problems, So this can happen. So everything is controlled and owned by the supreme will of the Lord, only because so we can surrender to Krishna more. We can come closer to Krishna, I was thinking on one of my book distribution experiences, and this guy I was meeting, I met this guy on the street, and he was asking, so, is Krishna so great that he can produce a rock that he cannot lift? Yeah, can Krishna produce a rock that he cannot lift? I said, yes, it's the supreme will of the Lord. He can do whatever he likes, just like you can produce anything you don't want. Just like we're doing it in material society. We have so many gadgets and instruments that we don't need, but we still produce that. So Krishna can do anything he likes, but he also produces the energy and the force to pick it up. So we should remember that Krishna can do whatever he pleases. He's not bound by any person's, individual thinking. He lifted a Govardhan hill, It's not an ordinary hill. It's Krishna himself. So we should realize that Krishna will give protection at every single step whenever there is needed, going back to the pastime of Govardhan Hill, there's so much learning from that, From this, it's the supreme will of the Lord, Indra always gets in trouble. So this time he's also getting in trouble himself, just trying to think that why is this little boy, trying to take my sacrifice, or I am the center, Indra must be thinking that I am the center of the sacrifice and this boy is taking it away from me. Again, that's the same situation, full of, why is this happening? I am the king of heaven. I deserve this. I have worked very hard to be at this position and I should deserve that. But why is this little boy, taking it away from me, And what he does, he just storms out, he just goes mental and brings up so much disaster, rainfall after rainfall, thunderstorms, you name it, it's all there, And why is he doing that? He's doing it because he has a point to prove, And Krishna knows that. Krishnas know that this is going to happen because it's the supreme will of the Lord. And Krishna makes this a beautiful pastime, uses this opportunity to show devotees that, look, what is the situation we are in, and who is giving you protection, who is here to help you. It's Krishna himself. And devotees in the Vraj are very nice people. They're not people like ordinary, they're very transcendental, They know everything. Even if you go to Vrindavan today, if you go to Delhi, people will start greeting you with swearing words, That's how they greet in Delhi. They'll start swearing at you. That's how you know this person is very friendly towards you. This is Delhi pastime. So, but if you go to places like Vrindavan, they greet you with the holy names, They say hello to you in form of holy name. They say Radhe Radhe, or they'll say Hare Krishna. They're saying Haribol, But in places like Delhi, or if you go outside, you don't see that, You don't see people greeting you on the name of the Lord. So we should remember these are very transcendental activities which are here to help us show the way or guide us back to home, back to Godhead. So we should use this opportunity to always be engaged in Krishna Katha and to read and learn about Krishna. Because the more we read, the better we understand our own relationship with Krishna. So this is a very important point. And just because this purport is not very long, so I won't spend too much time on discussing this purport, but because we still have a lot of time on hand, so I thought I'll just speak some katha, or some stories of Krishna. So, but specifically I had my favorite pastime which I would like to share. That's Lord Ramachandra pastime. I share it all the time. People probably have learned it by now, just by listening from me. So, when Lord Ramachandra was exiled, when he went to the forest, he was taking shelter in a forest of Lord Guha. And Lord Guha was, he's a devotee of the Lord. And he was looking at the shelter, and Lord Rama was there. And has anyone ever been in a forest before? Or is it just me? Yeah. When you go to a forest, there's a lot of deadly animals, a lot of snakes. Depends on which forest you go. But there are usually a lot of deadly creatures in the forest. And at that time, not just animals, there's many demons as well. So one should be very cautious and one should be very careful. And Lakshman has taken this vow that I will protect the Lord. I will not sleep until the Lord is safe and sound back to Ayodhya. So every night he would circumambulate with a bow and arrow in his hand around Lord Ramachandra, protecting the Lord, doing as per the best interest of the Lord. That's what a devotee does. A devotee looks after the interest of the Lord. And so Lord Guha was watching that. Lord Guha was watching, Lakshman with the bow and arrow in his hand, circumambulating around Lord Ramachandra. And he was wondering, whoa, what is this guy trying to do? Is he trying to kill Ram and maybe take his position? That could happen, couldn't it? I would think like that, if someone does that to me. So this could happen. So Lord Guha is thinking, whoa, I cannot let that happen. I mean, we all know Lakshman is the purest servant of the God, but Lord Guha can think like that because devotional service does that to you sometimes, You only want to do at the best interest of the Lord. So Lord Guha took out his bow and arrow and started circumambulating around Lakshman, And then a soldier saw that. He saw Guha, pointing his bow and arrow at Lakshman, circumambulating around Lakshman. He's like, what is he trying to do? Maybe he's trying to kill Lakshman and take his position. That could happen. It's a possibility. So the soldier took out his bow and arrow and started circumambulating around Lakshman. Then another soldier saw this soldier. What is he trying to do? Maybe he's trying to kill the soldier. And he started circumambulating around that soldier. So the point is, that night, nobody slept. Everyone, only Ramachandra and Sita Mata, they only slept. And everyone else was circumambulating around each other, trying to protect. And everyone's intention was very pure. Everyone is trying to think that I am doing the best interest for the Lord, yet without realizing that pointing a bow and arrow at another devotee who's doing exactly the same thing. And he's probably going exactly to the same thing in their head. So, has anyone ever felt in this situation before, or is it just me? Yeah. This situation can happen sometimes, When you're trying to do your service and then you feel another devotee who's trying to do their service, yet a bow and arrow pointed. There's miscommunication. There is some bit of a disturbances between each other. But the good point, the take-home message is we should be very cautious. We should be ready to protect the mission of the Lord, but we should not. They did not start shooting arrows based on speculation. They were ready. They were cautious that if the time comes, I am ready, If something like that happens, I am ready. But they did not start shooting arrows at another person or blaspheming another devotee who is probably doing a good thing. So one should be very careful and one should be very pakka. One should be very, very sensible. One should use their intelligence. But the point here is that Maharaj Parikshit was cursed, by the Brahmin boy that he is going to die. And Maharaj Parikshit could have just I am Maharaj Parikshit, I am the pure devotee of the Lord. I can just counter curses, this curse doesn't mean anything to me, But he did not. He just said, all right, well, I've been in this situation. A Brahman's curse is a very powerful curse, So I have been cursed by this Brahman who is probably degrading, but with Kali Yuga coming in. So he did not just say that, okay, well, I'll just count the curses and fight back, like we saw in the Daksha pastime. When there was curses and counter curses going on, constantly. So he did not engage in those sort of level. He just said, okay, this is the will of the Lord, If Krishna wants, now Krishna gave me protection at time of birth, because Krishna wanted me here. Now Krishna is calling me back. Hooray. That's the time to go back home, back to Godhead. So, and like we see, if you tell someone in today's time that you only have 7 days to live, they're going to spend those 7 days trying to do things that will make them only have 3 days to live. Has anyone ever thought about that? The activities we do in today's Kali Yuga activities. I was speaking to this guy a long time ago when I was preaching in Bhakti Lounge, New Zealand. I was saying, if you imagine what will you do if you have 7 days to live, And this guy said that, I'll just party, gamble, and do all the illicit activities. I'm saying, how much would you do? He said, to a point where I don't want to do it anymore. So that probably means you have only 3 days to live now, because you have engaged yourself in such horrendous activities that you're almost about to die. So you don't even have 7 days. So that's a common sense, If a person will engage himself in activities that doesn't even give them 3 days to live, that's a horrible situation to be in. But Maharaj Parikshit, being the pure devotee of the Lord, engaged his senses in hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. He just engaged himself in listening Srimad Bhagavatam. Because Bhagavatam is Krishna. And when you hear Krishna, you're definite, guaranteed back home, back to Godhead. So we should take time to come at the Bhagavatam class in the mornings. It's very important. Maybe try to come when I am not giving. It'll be a better Bhagavatam class. But it's good. The point is, one should always come and attend these beautiful classes which glorify the Supreme Lord. Because as long as we are engaged in hearing Bhagavatam, we are protected. This is a layer of protection, that we all get. As soon as we stop hearing and chanting, that layer of protection is gone. And now you are facing Maya face to face without protection of the Supreme Lord. So it's a very dangerous situation to be in. So one should always remember to engage their senses in devotional service and try as much as possible to remember and chant the glories of the Lord. Because, you know that, right? So if you don't do that, it'll become very difficult to become Krishna conscious. Because Maya is very strong, and it's very difficult to overcome. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, only the one who has surrendered unto me can overcome this problem, So we should remember, we should try and engage as much as possible in Krishna Katha, remember Krishna at all times. So yeah, this is something I had to share today. If there's any questions, comments, or corrections. I still have 5 minutes. If there's no comments, corrections, I'll share another pastime of Lord Ramachandra. So, is there any questions, comments, corrections? Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Sometimes, most of the time, in the near-fight stage of Krishna consciousness, we take every day as a supreme will of the Lord, and take responsibility for the
Yes. Yes, that's a very good point, Prabhu. Thank you. I do that all the time. So, one should remember that when we are in a neophyte stage, as I often explain, that motivation will not always be there. That's why we need discipline, And when we are in a neophyte stage, the only good thing we have to do is listen to our mentor or our guide or the ashram leader, Because otherwise we just get very lazy and we let these material things come in the way, all these mundane activities, and we just say, I'm just doing it for Krishna's pleasure, I'm sleeping 12 hours a day for Krishna's pleasure. A neophyte devotee does that, can say that. But that does not mean he's actually doing it for Krishna's pleasure, because we are still very much covered with the dust, the dust in our heart. And we are still very much engaged in those mundane activities. That's why we need to listen to a leader or to our guru, who is going to guide us through this problem, and finally we can come to a stage of purification. And this can happen by reading Bhagavatam. We should engage in reading the Katha, or read Prabhupada's purports, because these purports are like mirror, They're just like hard brush, What we use the brush at the DD department to clean like those very good liquid. What is the name of that? Gumption, yeah. It's like gumption, just very easily takes out the dust from the heart, and it becomes very easy to become Krishna conscious. So one should make sure to follow the authority, because that's very necessary for at the neophyte stage. If we don't do that, then it's very difficult to make advancement. I mean, there will be challenges and problems even in that. We will question the authority sometimes, practically speaking. We're like, why is this happening or why is that happening? But then again, if you realize that this is the will of the Lord, and I need to make advancement, if the desire is there to go back home, back to Godhead, there's nothing that can stop you. You will end up back home. So we should remember, and we should surrender unto Guru. That's what Krishna says, that, what was the verse? Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. You should just try and approach a spiritual master, render service unto him, inquire submissively. Because the person who has seen the truth can guide another person. So, does that make sense? Does that answer your question a little? Yeah. So that's the thing we should remember, that we should take instruction and guidance, because bhakti is not something that you can speculate in the beginning and you think that I'll just go back to God just by my mental speculation. That's why we constantly need guidance and we constantly need devotee association. Because as soon as you lose that association, that guidance also goes, And one should remember that there are many instructions being left in Nectar of Instruction, which helps us understand the devotee relationship and many other areas. So all these books, the whole point of Prabhupada writing these books and these shastric knowledge is so that we can make advancement. He did not do this for his own personal gain. Prabhupada had nothing to, he already had so much knowledge, he did not need to write these books. He wrote these books for us, for the benefit of us, so we can go back home. Even though he was struggling with so much health problems, that was the will of the Lord, that we can see right there. In the whole Prabhupada Lilamrita shows you the will of the Lord, how constantly he was struggling in India for printing and selling books, but it did not happen. So he had to go to the West. He had no other option. That was the will of the Lord. You have to go to the West because that's the instruction of your spiritual teacher. And Prabhupada did that. So one should always take guidance in counseling. And the Guru's instruction is very important. And we should try and follow as much as necessary, If he's giving an instruction, it should be followed rather than speculating our own knowledge. Does that make sense, right? Yeah. Anything else? I'll just stop here now. All right. Kantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.